guys, what is up? Bringing you a new video today. Today I will be tackling a third edition of my NHL Power Rankings week that I do weekly. We just hit 30 subs, so that's great. If you guys like or if you guys like this kind of content, subscribe because I plan to continue doing this weekly for at the very least the rest of the season, and then we'll see after that. So as you guys can already see, if you guys saw my first two rankings, I have actually switched. I have gone from an Excel spreadsheet to a Google Sheet spreadsheet because I wanted to separate them into kind of like folders kind of things, like down here. So I have a mystery one down there that I'll reveal to you guys soon when I'm done. It's a big project, so I probably won't be done for a while. And then, so tons of new stuff I've added. I switched it, as I said, to Google Sheets. I moved them into different folders, and to boot, I added goals for and goals against. I removed games remaining from here just because the formula didn't really work. You know, I would end up with random negative numbers, and it just didn't work out overall. But first thing, before I really dig down into the new changes, let's go into the hottest and coldest teams based on, or in the past week. So to do that, I'm going to look at last week's edition. As you guys can see, it's looking really different. 56 games played this season, if you guys didn't know that. So right off the bat, you noticed Hurricanes were first last week. 75%, 21 wins out of 28 games. And they had 28 to go games remaining down there. And this week, Hurricanes are down to 70.97%. So they won 22 of 31. Last week they had won 21 of 28. So they've won just one out of the past three. Not great for them, but I'm sure they're going to turn that around. Lightning also 71.88% this week. Last week they were down to 67.86. I knew they were coming off of a bad week, so they really recovered from that. 23 wins out of 32 games. Last week they were 19 out of 28. So they added four wins in the past week off of 4 games. So they have not lost yet a game in this week, and I guess they won't because the week's over. They also just came off a big win against the Panthers too. If you guys don't really like looking at this stuff, look at this chart. Goals for, just ignore that because I don't know how to remove it from the chart. It's just the net stain, and goals for, obviously, it's all above 40 for every team. So just ignore that, but the rest of them are all valid. So, yeah, the Hurricanes have dropped a bit, but they're still like a top-tier team in the league. If you guys heard on my podcast, I am really sold on them possibly winning the Stanley Cup this year. And then Sabres are still dead last, just 20.69% of their games. 6 out of 29. Last week they were 6 out of 28, so they've only played one game and lost it. Going into the Stars now, I noticed the Stars are doing it maybe a bit better. They won 10 out of 28. Last week it was 9 out of 25, so they're doing just about their percentage, I guess. Devils have played quite a few games. They've won 11 of 30. And last week it was 8 of 26, so they won 3 of their past 4, so they're hot. Canucks also, you guys know, it's my favorite team. They're up to 18th in my rankings. Last week they were 19th, so they only went up 1. Last week they were 14 out of 32. This week they're 16 out of 35, so they won 2 of their past 3, which is fantastic. Mostly the hot play of Demko. Some other teams, Islanders, last week they had won 20 of 30. This week they have won 21 of 33, so just 1 of the past 3 games. Hopefully they turn that around for their sake. Avalanche, I also noticed, are really hot. They won 19 of 29, and last week it was 16 out of 26, so they have won 3 in a row. Last week they were 10th in my rankings, and now they've jumped up to 5th. So they might be my biggest climber. Leafs are 21 out of 33. Last week I commented that they were kind of down in the dumps. So they won 21 of 33. And Leafs last week were 20 of 31. So they just won 1 of 2. Also addressing the Flames. Last week they were really hot. 16 of 33 this week, which is just 1 of the past 3 wins according to my calculations. Jackets, last week were 11 out of 31. This week, they are 13 out of 33. So they have won their past two. So hottest team overall seems to be the Avalanche. They seem to have made the biggest jump. Oilers also, I noticed, are hot, 21 of 34. Last week, they're 18 of 31. So they have won all of their games in the past week, I believe, if I did my math correctly in my head there. Yes, yeah, they've won their past 3 games. So Avalanche and Oilers are hot. Islanders doing well too. Yeah, so overall it seems like a lot of teams that were having issues last week have turned it around, which is good for them. I did notice the Preds and the Flyers have fallen off a bit. So Flyers have won 14 of 50, or 30, I should say. So yeah, they've lost their past 3. Obviously, that 9-0 drubbing they suffered at the hands of the Rangers. Zibanejad getting 6 points in 1 period, just incredible. Also, the Preds, 14 out of 33, 12 out of 30, so they won their past 2 out of 3, so that's good for them. That's better than the pace they've set for themselves. So overall, everything's going. It seems everything's going quite well. I almost ruined my thing. So now let's kind of get into what I've kind of set up. So let's go on to wins here. So obviously wins. Lightning lead the league in wins, and then here's a nice and easy chart you can look at. This is also the sum of the total wins. I can't have it in line because when I move it in line, it affects the chart. See? It like ups what's the highest, and then you can't really tell. So I just keep it here. So 486 total wins this year. Sabres are dead last there, and Ducks. So these are also the 2 worst teams in the league right now. Games played, same thing. 968 games played this year. Canucks have played the most. Stars have played the least. Makes sense. Stars have been absolutely riddled by COVID problems. Games remaining. So this one, it's a lot more formula based. So I had to keep games played in there, but the highlighted green column is the games remaining. So Stars have the most. And this chart is messed up. I'll adjust it because Canucks should be last there, but they're not. I'll adjust that later. But anyway, also 56 games played. I need this here for part of the formula. And then 768 games remaining. So we are just over halfway through the season, 968 to 768. So just 200 games separating them. So just 200 games off of half. Next, OT losses. So there have been 113 OT games played this year. Ooh, I don't know why this is like this. I don't remember doing this. But anyway. Okay, so and then in overtime losses, Habs are leading the league with 9. I think probably a lot of you guys knew that. Stars are at 8, Jackets at 7, Kings at 6. You have Blues, Blackhawks, Coyotes there at 5. And then you have kind of the rest of the teams. You notice these are their original rankings, by the way. You notice that the teams that have the best overtime losses overall seem to be the ones higher in the rankings. 11, 22 is kind of the exception. 10, 1, 14, 9, 6, 5, 2. And then you got Sens, Canucks. And then you kind of go into the middle teams, and then you get the worst teams. So it's obviously not perfect, but you know, that's what it is. So 113 overtime games overall this season. I thought that was really cool to calculate and quite easy. Next, we're going to go to goals for. So who scored the most goals? This is a new column I'm adding this week. So Oilers lead the league in goals for 116. They lead the Lightning by just 2. But the Oilers have played more games than the Lightning, 34 to 32. So just 2 extra games. But that can make a big difference when it comes to goals for. Sabres dead last there at 59. Ducks second last at 70. They seem to kind of be like dead last. Those 2 teams kind of seem to be vying for dead last in basically every important category. And then there's the rest of your chart. I think it's interesting to see like a team like the Bruins down here. You know, they're contending, but they're almost dead last on the list. And then you have a team like the Canucks, top 10. I mean, they've played more games, and they're known for their offense, so I guess it made sense. And then goals against here. Knights are first in goals against. They're the best offensive team in the league. I forgot to sort this, so I probably should have proof looked at this before I recorded, but that's fine. I'll fix this stuff by next week. And then You got Lightning there, Hurricanes there, Panthers, Avalanche, so you can kind of see the more solid defensive teams in the league. Bruins obviously making up for their lack of offense by leading the league in goals against, I believe, yes. They're leading on Vegas by 1 goal. Vegas has 65, Bruins 64. So hottest team, I'm going to go with Colorado this week. They haven't lost a game. And then the slowest team, Flames have a losing record, which for them is kind of disappointing because they were really doing well last week compared to, or with Daryl Sutter in the bench. Sabres lost their own game, but they haven't played enough games to really qualify for that. I don't know. Most teams are playing like 500 hockey now. Canucks could also be considered for hottest team as they've only lost 1 game in the past week, but there have been a few teams that haven't lost any at all, so I'm not going to give that to them. But anyway, if you guys like this chart and you like this content, like and sub, as I said at the start of the video. And then one more thing that's really cool about this is that because it is now on Google Sheets, I can actually share it with you guys, so you guys can have your own copy of it. You guys can update it. You guys can add new stuff to it. And if you guys end up doing that, leave a link in the comments down below so I can look at it. And have a good day, guys. Bye-bye.
That wasn't a long video.
No, it wasn't. I don't know why it was so difficult for you two to be quiet.